All right, welcome. Thanks for showing up so on the on the dot. How have you guys been this past week?
Good, good. Yeah, it's been a decent week, I guess.
Good. And remind me, because I know not everyone's doing the Moraine Man and some people have later races. Ed, are you doing the race this weekend?
I'm not. I took off Saturday from work to be a spectator,
Okay,
uh,
great.
because I'm going to. I signed up for the Olympic in August,
Great.
so
Okay,
I just kind of wanted to kind of like get the feel of it and
sure.
bathe in the greatness of it all and
Yep.
take it in.
Good. I hope you really well you will really enjoy it. And spectating is fun because you get to move around and
Mhm.
see the different parts. It's a really nice place to spectate because you can see everything without moving very far.
Mhm.
If you want to see the people at the one end or the other of the bike course, you have to sort of drive around the participants to move, but you can just stay right at the transition area. Uh,
Okay.
and then next time you'll be a participant, but volunteering is also a great way to sort of get one level deeper into the experience without actually doing it.
Yeah, that was a great idea. I wish I'd thought of that sooner. I don't know if there's
She,
still opportunity or if anybody's still.
there absolutely will be. You
Okay.
can, yeah, you can let Joella know
Okay.
if you're interested, but I wouldn't commit to it just yet because this is for fun, right? Just show up
Yes.
and see how things go and get there early if you like, get there
Mhm.
before like during
I was
when
thinking like,
transition opens.
yeah, it was like 6:30ish. That's what I was kind of thinking.
I would have to look exactly what time it is. I'm not sure, but that's for you. That's plenty. Yeah.
Yeah, I started to read through the contestant packet today, but then work rudely interrupted my reading, and that was the end of that.
Dang it. All right. Well, good. I'm happy to hear you're going to be there.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Um,
How about you? Did you have a good week?
I did. Yeah. I was very anxious about the swim personally because of the temperature,
Hmm.
and I did it, and I was very happy I did it, and it was a better experience than it was 2 years ago when the water was 5 degrees warmer. I looked at my notes, and the water was well, I shouldn't say that to scare anybody, but I was kind of prepared for it. I've been taking cold showers. I've lost a little bit of weight, so the swim skin that I bought 3 summers ago fits now.
Hmm.
And it was very tight 2 summers ago, and I think that caused an issue because once I started swimming, my lungs couldn't expand, so
Gotcha.
I got real panicky. But
Gotcha.
it fit much better. It's a little bit of a different experience. I felt the tightness, but it
Mm.
also provided the warmth. And for me, really, it's just that initial getting in and the first, 100, yards until my body figures out that it's not going to instantaneously freeze.
Yeah, I've done some scuba diving in pretty cold water, but it's been a long time since I've like really like thrown myself into cold water. But I did go to Xterra. I did figure out my size.
Oh,
Um,
good.
and I will be placing that order shortly.
Okay.
Do you think like one of the things I did see like there were, I think there were gloves and booties, and like is that necessary? And then I was kind of
Well,
torn about sleeves, no sleeves. I wasn't like sure like what made
yeah.
most sense.
Can we save that for later
Yeah,
at
for
the end?
sure, for sure.
Because they're important, and I'm glad you mentioned that. I might type into my notes while we're presenting. I've got a list of things that I want to cover. I've got something really exciting to tell you guys about. And I want to make sure that we have the gear and I want to make sure we have enough time to answer everybody's questions. So let's
Mm.
just put that to
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
feel free
For
to interrupt if I forget. I'm sure
sure.
you will. Hey Barb,
Yeah,
Kathy, Christina, how you been, Barb?
good, thanks.
Good. Um, are you racing this weekend? I think not. I think you're doing a
No,
later race.
yeah, and I'm not even in your state. I'm in the wonderful state of Vermont, where we really only just lost the ice out of our lakes 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, well, we haven't had ice for a while, but I swear I live about 40, I don't know, it's like 25 miles, but it takes 45 minutes to get from my house to the park, more in traffic. And I set an alert, like a pin in my weather app for
Yeah.
Lake Arthur, and except it logged it as Muddy Creek, which I get a kick out of. So every morning and every evening I get a weather alert for Muddy Creek. And I swear, like probably at least 10 days this month, we've had frost warnings overnight. So there's no ice, but it's still freezing. It's crazy.
When you said you're the cold water, what are you considering cold? What
This
is what?
was This was 60 degrees on
Yeah,
Monday.
so our lakes, I have an app that shows the temperature at all the area lakes, and
Yeah.
they range from 42 to 48. So I'm not ready to go in yet.
Yeah, yeah, nice. I have swum in about 52-degree water in San Francisco or California, one of those. Well, San Francisco's California, but I don't like it.
Yeah, that's the
You know,
coldest I've ever done is 52.
yeah, mid 60s is okay when you get used to it. 60 was
Yep.
really probably my threshold.
Interesting.
Yeah, Merrick was there. Merrick, how was your swim?
Um, it wasn't good.
Mm,
I felt like I don't know. It just didn't feel good. I don't
okay.
know if it was the cold or the wetsuit or we because we talked about it. Maybe my wetsuit was a little too low, but
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
we
it
did.
wasn't. Yeah, yeah, it didn't wasn't comfortable. Anyway, I don't know.
Okay. Could you tell? I mean, you say you're not sure if it was the cold or the wetsuit or what. What felt different about your swim than normal?
Well, my pace on that because I was using those form goggles
Mm-hmm.
and my pace was kind of horrible. I expected it to be faster than in the pool, but it was
Mm.
significantly slower.
It is always slower in the pool, and it's always slower in open water unless you are a terrible, terrible, terrible pool swimmer and swim like a
Mm,
barge and don't push off the walls with any speed at all. Then maybe your open water time will be faster. But even for the best swimmers, open water time is about 3% slower because you don't have the wall push offs. So that's free speed and you get a
all
little bit
right.
of rest with every
Oh,
lap.
that
But you don't have the wetsuit keeping you up either.
Mm, that's a good point too. Everybody's body is different. So for a lot of people, the wetsuit brings them up out of the water a little bit so it decreases the drag because you're higher in the water. There's just less of your body in the water. But
Yeah.
there's so many factors that go into it. And really just it takes experience. Like I'm not saying like, oh, you're not experienced enough. What I'm saying is that the next time you go, you're going to say, oh, Suzanne told me that I needed to pull my wetsuit sleeves up to my, 2 inches above my
Yeah.
wrist. And you'll try that,
Yeah.
feel a little different. And you just accumulate all these experiences.
I think experience
Yeah.
has a lot to do with it. I am much faster in open water, but that's what I do almost all of the time because our nearest
Mm.
pool is over an hour away. So
Hmm.
I only swim in a pool maybe 5 times a year.
Wow. Yeah, I have a friend who lives in New Hampshire and it's similar for her. She swims equal amounts open water and pool. The only reason she swims with the pool so much is because she teaches fitness classes there.
Yeah.
So she's always there.
And the other issue is it took like 45 minutes for me to get out of my wetsuit.
Yeah, there are some ways to
That's going to
speed
be
that up.
awful.
There's some ways to speed that up too. So save that question for the end, okay?
Okay. Okay.
Go back to the wetsuit questions. Kathy and Christina, how are you guys?
Good. It's Katie.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay,
Oh, that's
Katie.
okay. Yeah, it's all right.
I'm not
Full
misreading
name's on
her,
there.
but it's
Yeah,
Katie.
I'm good.
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 Are
I'm
you
good.
are you in Pittsburgh?
Yes.
Okay. You know how I knew that for sure?
Why?
Because of
Because the gray
the
sky and
gray and your backyard looks exactly like mine and the houses in your beyond your backyard look exactly like the ones in my neighborhood.
yeah. Yeah, I'm actually Natrona Heights, but yes, it's
Okay,
yes, ish. So,
got it. Yeah, I live in Regent Square. But
oh,
yeah,
okay.
the
Nice.
look.
Nice.
And yeah, thank you. Christina, are there more people? There's a couple more people. Christina, how are you?
Good, good.
Good. Are you excited?
I am. I am. This will be my second Olympic, but the first time in the spring. So
Okay.
dealing with the cold. So I'm
Yeah,
excited though.
got it. And you were there Monday, weren't you?
No, I wasn't. Yeah,
No.
I've been traveling this week. So
Okay, got it. And Kathy or Katie, are you racing this weekend?
Yes, we're doing the adventure race.
Good. So you're
Yeah,
doing
me and my husband are doing it together. So,
okay, good.
yeah.
Has your husband done them before?
No, neither of us. This is our first
Okay.
time.
Yay, so exciting.
So we picked the adventure race because I'm actually a rower, so that's my very strong sport.
Oh, good.
So I figured I'd start off with something a little stronger before trying
Yeah,
anything else. So
yeah. I mean, I like rowing, I love kayaking, and I love swimming. So I honestly have a hard time choosing, but opportunities to swim open water, to me seem far fewer than opportunities to kayak in open water. So I usually just go for the
the
swim.
swim, yeah.
Yeah. Let me see. I see iPhone on here. I don't know who that is. Who are you, iPhone? Maybe iPhone is driving. If you want to say hi, feel free to say hi. Um, so I'm going to get started. Questions will come up. Feel free to, oh, hi. I see a face there. How are you? You're muted, which is fine. But what's your name? Can you either unmute or type it in the chat? You're still muted. I can't hear you. It's okay. On an iPhone, the controls are really tiny, but I see your mouth moving. I can't hear you. That's all right though. Okay, so as I go along, feel free to use the chat just to make sure you don't forget things or write things down. I want to get started by sharing a video with you guys. It something that I first saw about 10 years ago, and it's like one of the most inspiring things I've ever seen. And I think it will give you guys a sense of what kinds of things you can accomplish no matter where you're starting from. Ooh, that's not it. Hang on. Slideshow for tonight, and I had that running in the background, and I was telling myself, this is going to take too much time. People are not going to be interested. And it was over like that. And I'm really glad you guys liked it. I could see some of your faces. So literally anything is possible. So sign up for that thing, show up for the practice swim, just show up, right? That's the first step. And that's one of my keys on race day. I'm going to talk about my race day routine. The first year, which was 3 summers ago now that I sort of re-entered doing triathlons, I woke up on race day morning at 4 or 4:30, and it was probably 45 degrees and it was pouring rain. And I had this knot in the pit of my stomach. And I was like, oh, I don't want to go. I don't want to do this. And my mind just started thinking about how awful it was going to be. This was the year that the water was a little warmer than last week, but that I had that really bad experience the week before. And I'm like, I could just not go. I could sleep in. That would be great. And then this switch just flipped in my brain. And it's a trick that I use. Number one, I say to myself, you know what? I get to do this. I chose this. Some people don't have these choices, right? The gentleman that we just watched, if he wanted to do a triathlon at the beginning of that time, he really didn't have a choice. He wasn't going to be able to do it. He needed to find someone who believed in him. So number one, I get a choice to do it. And I'm going to take advantage of that because there are people that I know who are currently alive and people who are no longer alive who would have given anything to be able to just show up and watch a race, let alone participate in one. So that's my thing number one that goes through my head when I've got those race day nerves. And thing number two is I don't have to race, but I'm going to go there. And every step of the way, that's how it goes. I get to the race site. I don't have to race, but I'm going to put my bike in transition because I need to practice that. Even if I decide not to race, I've got one more transition set up under my belt. And then, the momentum just kind of builds and you run into people and you start having conversations and the excitement builds. And, again, I don't have to race, but I'm going to put my wetsuit on, or I'm going to put my swimsuit on. I'm going to do my warm up. I don't have to do the race, but I'm going to get my feet in the water when she blows the whistle. And I sort of coax myself into doing very difficult things with those two main tricks. So I wasn't planning on talking about that, but I'm glad that I did. Any comments about the video or anything else you guys noticed or want to share?
I think when you decide to do something, commit, you can do anything. And
Yeah.
I found life puts a lot of roadblocks in your way, but every time I put my mind to something, there isn't a roadblock I can't overcome. And sometimes it takes a video like that to remind me that that's possible, because it's easy to listen to all the detractors, and myself included, where I could easily talk myself down and hey, you can't, those days are behind you.
Mm-hmm.
I used to run a lot when I was younger, and then, COVID hit, and, I found myself at 250 pounds and, my job changed and I'm now sitting behind a desk all day, and I'm fast approaching 60, and I have a pacemaker now, and I'm like, last year I decided I was not going to. I had two choices: either I was going to get up and do something, or I was going to buy a recliner. And I said, well, no, there's still too much I want to do. So I lost 50 pounds and been working hard all winter to get to where I'm at now. But yeah, so
Fantastic.
yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks. But yeah, if you put your mind to it,
yep,
you can do anything.
That's great.
I guess I'm more realistic than that. I don't think you can literally do anything just because you want to. I think you have to be realistic as well. But what I find helps me is telling somebody what I think I'm planning on doing. And then they're always like, so how's that training going? And when's that race I'm coming to watch? That helps me is to tell somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. Barb, were you here for my first session or did you watch the replay?
I watched the replay.
Okay. I took the text of my slides. I don't know if I mentioned this. I might have. I took the text of the slides. I wrote the slides. It was all my best stuff about mindset that I thought would be appropriate. I took the text, I put it into Chat GPT, and I said, I know that there are psychological principles behind everything that I'm talking about, but I don't know what they are. Could you please research and tell me what the principle is and what the research was and what evidence there is? And I'll send you guys this document. It's the most amazing 3-page summary. And Barb, what you just said is on there.
Okay.
And some version of what you said is on there. But now that I have it printed out, I just read it and I get all like, I want to take each thing and put it on a flashcard and just use it for inspiration. So I'm not carrying around this folded 3-page piece of paper. Anybody else want to share anything?
I think it's important to realize with that man in the video, the fact that he found somebody to believe in him. He didn't do it on his own. He had that one person.
Yeah.
We need to all find that one person sometimes.
Yeah. I think you're really fortunate if you find that one person. Sometimes it's, a village. Sometimes it's 2 or 3. Sometimes it's one person for this activity, another person for special holidays or whatever the case is. But yeah, so social support is very important. Some people like to do it on their own, but other people, I think if you're uncertain about whether or not you can do something, having the support of someone that believes in you is vital, and that's what a coach is for. That's what friends are for as well.
Totally agree.
I'm going to screen share again with my presentation. And the presentation is, it's not super eye-opening tonight. It's just, sharing the things that we've been sharing. This is really cool. The learning things from other people is one way to gain experience. Right. You guys can see my Canva in the background, right?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, so you can gain experience by learning from other people. So you don't always have to go through the experiences yourself. So, and anything that we can share tonight and you feel like doing in this smaller group is wonderful. So these are just some of the things that I brainstormed that I want to talk about tonight. All the gear questions, totally fair game. We'll add those on. I wanted to talk specifically about what kind of training or activity you should be doing between now and Saturday. Packing, resting, sleeping. For me, the things that I think make my race day morning go really well is the routine that I've developed for myself with what do I do the night before, as far as food, what do I do the morning of, what is my routine, what music do I listen to? And these are all things that I just sort of discovered again with experience, because one race, I made 2 peanut butter and apricot jam sandwiches the night before and put them in a cooler with some iced tea and some water. Like I just packed all that stuff up. And the next morning, that's what I had for breakfast. And I wasn't hungry. I felt fine during the race. I didn't, I had energy until after the race. And so that sort of became part of my pre-race routine. So your pre-race routine doesn't have to be the same, but I'm going to share some of the additional things that I do. Okay. I'll send you guys the link to this video. Okay. But first, I want to share with you something very exciting for me. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. I love teaching and I love seeing the aha moments that people have and all the interaction. People have been having questions and people have been responding really well to just having a resource of training information that is, it's like one resource. It's coming from me. You guys have gotten to know me through these webinars. I'm not a random Instagram account or YouTube shorts. It can be very difficult when you're consuming information all the time to know exactly what is valid and what's not valid, what is for attention, what's scientific, what do you have to do, what can you not have to do. And what I have wanted to do for a long time is offer something like this, but ongoing on a deeper level. And so what I'm going to do starting in 2 weeks, May 28th, is a 6-week course. This thing that we're doing now is I call ready to try, getting ready for the race. This is, I'm calling train to try. So we're going to go much deeper into fundamentals of training, talk about, I added some things here, not just following workouts, similar to the session from last week where we talked a little bit about the purpose behind different workouts. You will be able to understand why you're doing certain things in your training and decide if that's what you need or if you want to do something else. So you're not just following a checklist. We're going to go deeper into effort, pacing, fitness, what kinds of combinations of workouts can give you what type of fitness. Talk about fueling and recovery. We didn't really talk a lot about that. Maybe none at all in this course. Go deeper into mindset stuff, deeper into gear, have more time to talk about technique with run, bike, and swim. And if anybody who signs up for it is able to share video, especially swim, if you can just get a lifeguard to do a quick swim video. I want to review as many swim videos, run videos as I can. Bike technique is less look at a video and tell you what you're doing wrong, but there's definitely technique in biking. And then I have a whole lot of resources that I put together over the past, 15 to 20 years that people like looking through again as a resource and they know where it's from. I have a workout catalog that's really just a small handful of workouts that I like to sort of package up and give to some of my newer triathletes. I have training plans that I've created for all different distances. They can be mix and match. In the 6-week course, there will be time for Q&A every week. And so if you look through some of the training plans and want to use them and put them together for yourself, we can basically design a training program for you that's very specific based on what you learn and based on what you have accessible to you. So there's a whole lot of stuff that I'm really excited to share with you guys, anybody else that wants to show up. This is the first time I'm offering this, so I'm offering a big discount. I know you hear that all the time, but but I, look at this list here, like a single training plan, a single cheap training plan on Training Peaks is, $47 a month. Training, one-on-one personal coaching with me is $400 a month. An hour worth of my consult time is $100. So there really is a lot of value here. And so I'm going to leave the price at $97 until the end of the weekend. And then after this weekend, I'm going to continue to open it up to a broader audience. I don't know if I'm going to run ads for this, but it's the first time I'm running it. I'm really excited. I want to get people in. I want you guys to get value out of it. I want it to be affordable. And I think you'll love it. Yeah, so that's my sales pitch. This is the address, go.steelcityendurance.com/train-to-try. I haven't tested the sales page. I ran out of time. So if you want to test it tonight, let me know if it works. All right. Every time I change my tone of voice, my dog gets up. He thinks that I'm going out, going outside. Let's talk about, I'm just going to tell you my pre-race routine, okay? You guys can feel free to interrupt and ask questions. You can type them in the chat. Again, this is just what came to my mind. You guys have already asked some questions that I hadn't specifically considered. So today's Thursday. I'm probably going to do a very, very easy run after this session is done tonight, before dark. If I train too late in the evening, I have a hard time falling asleep, but I haven't run since the weekend. It's been a really busy week and I want to get my legs moving at least one more time. So 2 days, a week, let alone 2 days is not enough time to build fitness. So my plan is not to do anything crazy. It's going to be 20 to 30 minutes of light running, some short pickups just to get my legs moving a little bit faster, but not enough to wear myself out. But I am going to do a run later this evening. Tomorrow is Friday. I'll probably get on my bike before I pack it in the car again, just to do maybe 15 to 20 minutes of spinning my legs and getting some blood flow to those muscles that are going to be working for the next 2 days. I pack the night before. I usually wait longer than I want to pack. I have a transition bag. If you guys want to see it, I can go get it and show it to you. But it's basically, Archie, come on, buddy. What do you want? Do you want to pack your transition bag? Oh, gosh. My dogs have little tiny wetsuits. They're so cute.
Aw.
So adorable. They went to open water swim last week. So I have a transition bag. A lot of companies sell them. There are some that are just like super fancy with tons of bells and whistles. Others are just big duffel bags, basically. For me, what makes a transition bag useful is that it usually has a couple of different zippered compartments. This one, the reason I really like it is I think it's made by Zoot, Z-O-O-T. I like it because each zippered compartment has a little label on it with a picture of what you should put in there.
Oh.
So there's a zipper that has shoes on it. There's a zipper that has goggles on it. There's a zipper. It came with like a clear flat pouch that you can put paperwork into. And there's a couple other things. I'll probably grab it before we're done just to show you guys. So again, through experience, through going to the Monday night swims, I know what I like to put in that bag. I know where the things are. I have got nutrition in one area. I've got extra swim caps in one just in case the one that they give me rips. Latex caps tend to rip. Joella at the Mighty Moraine Man has really nice silicone caps that tend to not rip. I have clothing that I know keeps me warm enough, and I lay that all out the night before. A weekend like this weekend is challenging because it's going to be fairly cold right up until it's going to be cold until Sunday. It's going to be cold the night before. The water may be a little bit warmer than it was last Monday, but it may not. And so after I do the swim, I get out of the water and I'm going to be cold. I'll have physically warmed up my muscles, but I know that my feet and my hands will be cold. So I have to plan ahead. What am I going to wear for the bike ride that's going to keep me warm enough that I don't just turn into an ice cube and quit the race? So for cold weather, one of the tricks that I do is those hand warmers that you tear them out of the plastic package and then you shake them up and the oxygen interacts and warms them up. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the hot hands.
Yeah, exactly. Hot hands. I've got a pack of hot hands, like a dozen packs, a dozen twofers or more that I keep in my transition bag and I keep them in my car. What I do is take two of them, I put one in each shoe. So my shoes are warming up while I'm
Oh,
swimming.
man.
I put them, I actually roll my socks. I take my socks and I roll the cuff down so that it's like a little cup that you put your toe in and then the sock just rolls up. So I do that with my socks, set the sock in the shoe, and then I put the warmers in the socks that are in the shoes. I do the same thing with gloves. I have a pair of cycling gloves and I put hand warmers in the gloves. I have a windbreaker that I wear for cycling. That's nice because it cuts the wind, which is the worst part about getting out of the swim. And when you get on the bike, you're moving quickly. So the evaporation from the swim is what gets you the most chilled in the beginning of the bike.
Yes.
This windbreaker is small enough that I can roll it up and stuff it in a cycling pocket or tie it to my bike frame when I get too warm. I usually
Well,
don't.
I mean, you
Sorry.
take it off while you're cycling if you get warm? I'm missing something.
Yeah. If I get too warm, I take it off.
While you're cycling.
I stop.
Oh, okay.
You're allowed to stop.
I was gonna say you're better skilled than I am for sure.
I mean, you can, I probably could, but there's no reason to. You might save 20 seconds, but you might fall
You
and
might,
crack your skull. So
right, right.
just stop. But you're not allowed to discard anything on the race course. Technically, it's against the rules to drop your jacket on the
Right.
side of the road and plan to pick it up later. In this race, I don't know that she would be that strict with the rules, especially if you went back and got it. But technically, probably you wouldn't get disqualified. You could get a penalty for that. And I'm not really racing for time or podium, so I don't really care. And I'm glad that I talked about this out loud because sometimes it does get burdensome to have all this stuff. Uh, they make arm warmers and leg warmers that you just pull up, sort of like socks with a hole in the bottom, but they're bigger and fatter, and so they come up over your legs and your arms. So that's usually my setup for after the swim. I make sure that I have all this gear that's on my bike and prepared to go, that I can get it all on so that I can start my bike feeling fine. Now, some people might, if you've got more muscle mass, you're going to be generating more body heat. If you swim harder or faster, you're generating more output. You may be radiating more energy, depending on your age, your body fat level, your thyroid hormone, all sorts of other things. Some people are going to be generating body heat and they may just not be bothered by the cold. If you're racing for a time or a podium spot or to beat the guy that beat you last year, you may not want to take the time to do all that. I personally have no problem in this race, especially the spring race, spending 5, 10, 15 minutes in transition if I need to. I don't want to, but I know that it's going to make it easier for me to continue on. That first bike out of the park is uphill, and it's a bit of a shock to be cold, have your legs not warmed up, be freezing, not be able to feel your fingers, and then try and ride up this hill. So I take the time to make myself comfortable. By the fall, I don't need that kind of stuff. And then usually on Sunday, when I get a feel for what the race was like on Saturday, I'll know, do I need all these layers or not? So race day morning. Oh, so I was talking about packing. I skipped ahead. So I'm talking about packing. So all that stuff, I fold it up. I keep it in zippered packing cubes. So all my warm stuff is in one zippered packing cube that goes in my transition bag. The actual race gear that I'm going to be wearing, my triathlon shorts, my triathlon top. I've got a triathlon top that's snug fitting, has got some pockets. There's no sleeves. That goes like in one main area. I know that that goes on my body first. And then I will have like warm up layers that I'll wear around before the race starts. So I sort of have this like three phases. The run is easy. The run is running shoes and whatever you still feel like wearing by the time you finish the bike. But I think in three phases. Phase number one is what needs to be on my body. You can either put that on at home, drive to the race site in it, or you can drive to the race site in your PJs and change when you get there. I usually do the latter, but it's kind of annoying to spend the time doing that. But I don't like riding and driving around in my race kit. I just find it uncomfortable. So that's layer one. Layer two are all the things that you're going to be adding on during the event. So for me, all the layers for the bike. For me personally, that's really important. Some people won't care about that at all. Some people won't want as many layers. They won't want to deal with things. Some people will be comfortable with less. Other people may want to, put on a down jacket so that they're super comfortable and pack it up small. It's
That's
entirely
me.
up to you. What's that?
Yep. That's what I do.
Yeah, yeah. I was looking at pictures on Facebook. Three memories came up that were all first open water swim of the season, and they were all yesterday's date for whatever reason. And 2 years ago, the year that I told you about, I was driving home wearing a winter stocking cap and a down jacket. I had planned that ahead. This week, I didn't think of doing that. I'm like, why didn't I bring a down jacket? And I was looking for that same winter cap. I thought it was in my transition bag, but it wasn't. Okay, so that's layer two. Like, what are you going to wear what additional are you going to wear over your base layer? And then number three is you need something to just wear around during race morning while you're getting ready. The one year it was pouring down rain and like 45 degrees. It quickly warmed up as the sun came up. The other years it's been warmer, but you don't want to be walking around in, a sleeveless thin lycra top and tight shorts. So I think of getting dressed in three layers. Prepare all that stuff the night before. I try to put my bike in or on my car. I have a bike rack that I just bought last year for the first time. So my bike used to get shoved into the passenger compartment. Now it goes on the back. I put that on my car the night before so that I don't have to worry about that. I think about my nutrition that I'm going to need for the race. So I fill 2 water bottles with plain water the night before, and I usually don't put this on the bike because I'm paranoid they'll fall out, but I'll put those 2 bottles in my transition bag, which has 2 mesh pockets for 2 bottles. One of them I put nutrition, I put not Element, Liquid IV in. Personally, I like Liquid IV because it's only like half the sugar. It has stevia in it and it has some sugar. So it doesn't have a whole lot of calories, but it's got some electrolytes and that tends to get absorbed faster. So I usually do that on the bike. I have 1 bottle of water and 1 bottle of Liquid IV. So I take the Liquid IV dry packets. They have a spot in my transition bag. The breakfast, I pack the peanut butter. It's very specific. It's Dave's Killer whole wheat bread. It's actually almond butter from Target and apricot jam. I make 2 sandwiches the night before. I have a banana, easy to digest. Pack that the night before, put it in the fridge. And then I clip my car keys to my insulated little lunch box that's in the fridge so I can't forget my car keys. So I can't forget my car keys, of course, so that I can't forget my food. I do that for work too, so I don't forget to bring something to work. And then okay, so I'm going to pause there. I'm just sort of talking about planning, prepping, packing. Does anybody have any questions or comments about those things?
Everything that you do, except for the food, I actually do 2 days before, so that if I can't find or have to fix something, I still have a day to do that.
That's great. I actually wanted to be doing that today, and it's one of those little things that's been on my mind. I'm like, what's bugging me right now? But my whole day has just been packed. So I'm going to go for a run tonight. I probably won't do any packing till tomorrow, and I'll regret it again. But yeah, that 2-day leeway is really smart.
And I have a TYR
Mm-hmm.
transition bag that has, similar to yours. It's got a spot for everything.
Mm-hmm.
So that keeps me from forgetting. I forgot my helmet once.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then I bought a transition bag and I cannot forget my helmet again because there's a spot for it.
Yeah. I mean, it's so nice. I don't like things that have too many pockets because stuff gets lost, but a great transition bag will just work for you. So I'm looking at your faces now. I wasn't before, I was looking at my slides. Do you guys want to see? I won't do it right this second, but do you want to see the transition bag before we end for the night? Or do you not care? Yeah, 50-50. Yeah, okay. We won't make a big deal out of it, but I'll go grab it at some point. Anything else? Any other comments or questions right now? I see a big dog. All right, I'm gonna sip some water.
I miss the cat. Where'd the cat go, Ed?
She's in my lap where she's always is. She spends
Okay.
she spends the whole day there.
Aw,
Yeah,
I saw the cat earlier tonight.
yeah. I depending upon the moment, she's either my biggest fan or the bottomless well of needs. I'm not quite sure which one is which, but
So I have a question. I don't know if it fits here or not, but one of my biggest problems with races is I wear glasses.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you're warming up before the race. And then at the moment of the race, my races go in small heats every 6 seconds, I think. So I'm standing around. I have to give my glasses to somebody and they have to give them back to me, hopefully before transition, or I can't see my way to transition.
Yeah,
Is there a solution for people who wear glasses?
there is, but it depends on what your correction is. Are you nearsighted?
Um,
Or do you know what your prescription is? How many
it,
diopters?
yeah, I'm farsighted, I think. Um,
Is your prescription plus or minus?
plus.
Yeah, so you're farsighted. Are they reading glasses or do
No,
you need glasses?
they're trifocals, so I need them for everything.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm not as sure just because being farsighted is less common than being nearsighted. You can buy goggles that have prescription in them. You don't even have to order them as a prescription. I think you can just mix and match with certain companies. I don't remember the name of the company right now, but there's a limit to how strong of a diopter they can put into a swim goggle. So you would want to make sure that the shape of the goggle fits your face, but there are several different companies. And if you were to wear a clear goggle that had, even if it wasn't your actual prescription, if it was close enough that you could see, then you could have your glasses at transition, not worry about grabbing them from someone, and see well enough to get to transition by keeping the goggles on.
Oh,
So
that's a good idea. Thank
yeah,
you.
that's probably the that's probably the second most common thing people do. I think the most common thing is that exactly what you just said. The If it's a local race and you know people, you have a friend there, that's kind of easy. I remember being in a collegiate race and one of our college students, I think it was a father, it was somebody. Anyway, it seemed a little strange to me. I was like, what are you doing? He says, well, so and so needs me to hand him his glasses, but you're not allowed to take assistance during a triathlon. So I just set the glasses
Exactly.
right here. So he sets the
Yeah.
glasses down and he stands there so the athlete can see where he is and points to him.
But
Again,
he's not assisting.
yeah, right. At this race, I don't think she's super strict. And honestly, at any race, I mean, unless it's a professional or Olympic race, I don't think anybody's going to make a big deal because we would rather that you see your way around the course so you don't hurt yourself or anybody else.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, those are the two things. I wear contacts, so I just pray on race day morning that I can get the contacts in comfortably. I pack my
Hmm.
glasses with me because uh if I get water in my goggles or in my eyes, I don't want to be wearing my contacts around the rest of the day because that can cause eye infections easily if the fresh water from a lake gets trapped under the contact. That can be bad news bears. So I carry mine with me. I've never had to race in my glasses. If I did have to, I think I could see well enough to see the swim course and get to transition, but then I'd want to have the glasses on for the bike.
I follow other people in the swim.
There you go. Yeah,
I'm never first.
that totally works. That's a really good strategy, actually. You don't actually have to see the finish or the buoys. Just aim towards the middle of most of the swimmers, and you'll probably get there. Okay, so sleeping night before, I'm not a great sleeper. Whether I get a good night's sleep is kind of hit or miss for me. So I plan things, but it doesn't always happen. What's the most important part is that you're well rested leading up to the night before the race. The night before the race, I mean, a lot of people are getting up at 3, 4 in the morning so that you can get dressed, get ready, drive to the race site, get to transition. There's a lot of steps. So it's not uncommon to not get a lot of sleep. Not a lot of people can fall asleep at 6 p.m. so that they can get up at 2 a.m. and have a leisurely morning. So the night before the race, it's not uncommon. They have done some studies on performance on low sleep, and for people who are otherwise well rested, getting 2 or 3 hours of sleep the night before an event makes very little difference. Now, if you were in the Tour de France, where it's 3 weeks plus of racing every day, you couldn't get away with that. I think those guys sleep 8 to 10 hours a day, like it's their job, literally. So it's most important that you're rested leading up to it. So tonight, 2 nights before the race, really, really important to try and get to bed tonight at a reasonable time. So I wouldn't stay up late packing or worrying or working or exercising. I'd try and get a good night's sleep tonight and then use structured time smartly tomorrow, which is exactly what I'm going to do. When do I get up in the morning? I work backwards from my race start. I actually work backwards from transition. I used to try and plan how much time I thought I needed in transition to set up, how much time I would want to relax before the race. And I would be doing these calculations every single time I raced. And it would always be stressful to do this math. It seems like it wouldn't be hard, just do the same thing every time. But races start at different times. I have a little bit of time clock dyslexia. If someone says 6:45, I might remember it as 7:15, right? I just get the shapes backwards or mixed up. And so I double and triple check my schedules. And so if a race says transition opens at 5:30, even though it's written down, I might not remember that. I might say to myself, I need 45 minutes to set up. I want to relax for 15 minutes. Pre-race meetings at 7, and I'll do all these calculations. And it was just too much for me. I show up when transition opens. So that's the only time that I need to do any math on for race morning. I show up when transition opens, and it's just a lot easier. And I'm not a morning person. So for me to get there before anybody else, number one, you get your choice of a parking space. Not there before Joella, but get your favorite parking space, which doesn't have to be the closest spot. There's just a spot that I've come to like at this particular race. Um, and then you've got a lot of time. So planning backwards from transition start, you just look at how long it takes you to get there. What's your morning routine? You know, how long does it take you to get up, take a shower, get dressed, eat your breakfast? And then you can factor in, you know, are you going to cook a breakfast that morning? Are you going to fix your peanut butter and apricot sandwich that morning, or have you fixed it the night before? There's a lot of little things you can do to just decrease stress and time on race day morning. What I want to do when I get up is I usually don't take a shower because I'm going to get wet soon. I usually get up and I usually wear comfortable clothes, take my kit with me, and change after I get transition set up. It's not optimal for me, but I just don't like driving around wearing my sports bra and my shorts and my kit. It just feels icky to me. So, you know, what time do I leave? I don't know. I'm going to do the math again tonight or tomorrow to figure it out all over again, but I'm going to look at the race packet, the instructions for athletes. Whatever time transition opens, that's when I plan to be there. So I work backwards. I leave my house 45 minutes before transition opens, and I know that I'm going to get there at a comfortable time. One thing I didn't mention that I like to do if it's a new site, if I haven't been there before, I like to drive there the day before or the week before or a few months before if you have an opportunity to go see the site, see where the transition is going to be so that on the morning of, you know where you're going. I talked about the on one of the earlier ones with the different parking areas at Moraine. There's no bad parking area at Moraine. They're all close as long as you go to the right beach area.
But it's nice to know how long it takes to get from the car to
Yeah.
any place as well. Those minutes count.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think when I say there's no bad parking spot at Moraine, everything's within like a 2 or 3 minute walk. You're not going to be parking 10 minutes away, but other places are not like that. Other places you might have to take a shuttle to get to the race. You might have to rack your bicycle the night before, and then there's no parking anywhere close to transition. So you have to take a shuttle in. So working out those logistics well before the race is much, much nicer than doing it on race day morning. Other people don't really care. They'll get up early and they'll figure it out as they go. But that causes me a little bit more anxiety than I want. And the last tip that I want to give you that you can experiment with, I have discovered that there's a specific album that I listen to, and I start it when I get onto the highway from my house. So, you know, running around, doing all this stuff, getting ready. I get in my car, I start driving, and I know that I'm not going to be doing anything for 45 minutes. It's dark, there's hardly anybody on the road, and I put on my album, which is Circles by Mac Miller. And from the first opening note, it's like just taking a deep breath and exhaling. And it just puts me in this very calm, relaxed zone. And the album is long enough that I get to the race site. I set up transition. I have 2 songs left when I park my car. And so I'm listening to the music as I do my transition. So it's all very calm and very relaxed. And then the album's over and I'm ready. So those are things that I've discovered through doing these over and over and just looking at each race opportunity as a chance to get some experience. Try different things that you think might work. If it works, keep it in your plan. If you didn't like it, do something else. Try a different breakfast, try an instant breakfast, try a different album, try a custom playlist, try amped up music, try relaxed music. Yeah, try different clothing. It's taken me a long time to figure out what clothes I like to wear when I race just because. That's pretty much all I have for tonight. What questions do you guys have?
I had one. I guess there was a race packet that was emailed out, and I
Yeah,
can't find it.
I haven't seen mine. I haven't looked for it, but I haven't seen it.
I was
So,
just looking for it and I don't see it either. So hopefully it's
okay.
coming there tomorrow.
I found
Um,
I
yeah.
found a link on Facebook if that helps anybody.
Okay.
You can usually find a race, you should get an email, but you can usually find a link to the race packet from the website. But sometimes race day morning sometimes there are changes for whatever reason, logistics, emergency, EMS, police, um, a flood, like what happened in Milwaukee last summer at Nationals. They canceled the Sunday race at Nationals because there was flooding, catastrophic flooding the night before, and all of the city made USA Triathlon cancel it essentially because all of their um, first responder resources were being used by the residents who had been flooded out of their homes and needed some rescues. So they're like, you can't have this race because we can't help you if anything goes wrong. Um, I'm going to I'm going to text Joella, but I'm just going to check my email super quick and see if I see it. Oh, that's where it would be.
I have a question while you're doing that. Maybe you guys
Yeah.
can answer. This is like my very first multi-sport, so I'm a little nervous. Um, one of the things that I'm struggling with is the transition between bike and run. Having a lot of like tightness in my back, and is there like in the transition time between those two events, is it permissible to like take time to stretch and like set yourself up for the next event? Like, what is the cadence like?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and I'm sorry that I didn't address that tonight or any of the other ones. I mean, it's just part of there's only so much we can cover. Um, you can take as long as you want. There are no rules. I stretch in transition. I lay down on the ground and I do torso stretches. I'm going to try it without, but I normally wear a brace on my right ankle because I've got really bad arthritis there, and it's a different. It's not like your typical lace up brace. I found one that is more like it's like the front of a ski boot. So
Mm,
it supports the front of my ankle, and it means I can push down on the pedals harder because that front of my ankle is supported. So that takes time to get on the bike, and I don't wear it on the run, so it takes time. So I just sit down and do it. One of the tips to make it easier if you haven't done a lot of practice, the ending of the race course at Moraine is downhill, like the
yeah.
last 3/4 of a mile.
Yep.
So you're not going to be smashing the pedals, but I wouldn't coast the whole way down because you've just climbed up a steep hill.
Okay.
I would put it into an easy gear and just spin very lightly, kind of quickly. When you
Okay.
run, your cadence is between 80 and 90 per minute, each foot, which coincidentally is a comfortable cycling cadence for a lot of people. So that's a really great time to spin your legs for several minutes so it increases the blood flow a little bit, especially since you've been mashing up that hill. And the beginning of the run, you can walk the beginning of the run just to get your legs under you. The first 10, 15 minutes for most people are a little awkward because you've been sitting hunched over on the bike. You need to stretch out the front of you
Yep.
and you need to turn on the back of you. You need to get your glutes firing again. So it just
Yep.
takes time to do that transition. So there's really no
Yeah.
hurry.
Okay. Good to know. We've been, or I've been really particularly practicing that. That's been my worst. Like that transition has been really tough.
Yeah.
Um, so I've been worrying about that part in particular. The rest of it, I'm not actually too concerned about, but that is tough. So,
What specifically are you worried or what specifically is tough for you?
I had spinal surgery when I was a kid, so I have some
Okay.
like limitations, and I really do a lot better when I'm able to take the time to stretch. And we've done the brick a couple, 3 or 4 times. And I noted like I did take more time to stretch this last weekend, and I noticed I got way farther into the run before I was really feeling like my back cramp up and everything. So
Okay.
it was improved. So it's good to know that I can take the time to kind of work through that transition. Um,
Yeah.
and I mean, it's only a 5K, so I guess I'm a little surprised to hear that a lot of people walk, but I mean, I want to just get it over with as soon as possible. So,
Sure.
but
Everybody has different strengths. If you're a really good runner, the run's going to be easier for you no matter what you do on the bike. If you're a
yeah,
really good
I'm totally
cyclist,
not. So that's why it's going to be hard, I think.
yeah. If you're a good cyclist, then the run's going to be easier because you haven't used a lot of energy on the bike either. If
Mm,
you're a really good bicyclist and a really good runner, then you just have a lot of skills. But
yeah.
you need to go at your own pace and not what you expect, what you think you should be doing.
Yeah.
One of my favorite stories, like along this vein, is he was at one time the oldest competing male triathlete in the United States. I think he's stopped. His name is Bill. Last name's escaping me. He's probably 92 or 93 now. I met him 5, 6, 7 years ago at a banquet. And he was still racing at nationals in his age group and winning his age group as a 90-year-old, kind of like the Iron Nun. And this was several years ago. It was in Milwaukee, wonderful place to have the nationals. And it was very, very hot and very humid. And he was doing the sprint and he ended up not finishing because he got out on the run and he just was exhausted. He was just, collapsed. He didn't fall or anything, but he just had to sit down under a tree and he just couldn't get up. It took him like 45 minutes with EMS there, trying to cool him off, giving him water, checking his vital signs. The guy's 92 and he's out racing in conditions that most people wouldn't even bother. But what I told him, and he felt really bad about it because he wanted to finish the race, obviously. And it's not like he was hurt or injured or sick. He just physically, it got to him. And he asked me for advice. And I said, Bill, you could have sat in transition for 45 minutes and just cooled off. Drank some water, stretch, pour water over your head. Nobody's going to kick you out of transition, right? So, and I don't know if that was his last triathlon, but literally he could have, not that he would have known this ahead of time, but if you're not feeling well and you're concerned and you're feeling awful, sit down for 20 minutes or do some yoga. Nobody's going to kick you out of transition as long as the race is still going on.
Something that helps me that might help Katie. In my the race I'm doing this July and have done in the past, the bike is just all hill. It's roller coaster, except for most of the last 10th of a mile. And I found that when I stay hunched over and I really, pedal to the metal on that last 10th, when I got off the bike, I was dizzy. So I started sitting up straight for that last stretch, and that might help your back.
Yeah,
Sitting up straight.
I actually tried that this past weekend because we've been doing the Moraine course pretty much like over and over again where we could. So yeah, I did try to watch my posture on the way down. So thanks.
Yeah. And bike fit could be part of it too. I don't know if
It
you've ever had.
definitely is, but I didn't know. I'm such an amateur. Like I really didn't know. Someone mentioned that to me this week, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what's a bike fit?
It's okay. I
So
mean,
yeah,
that's how you learn. You learn from other people. You wouldn't know it if someone didn't tell you.
yeah, right. So all right.
Other
Thanks,
questions?
Yeah, question on nutrition.
Okay.
For a distance, my race is longer than a sprint, but not long enough to be an Olympics, kind of caught between
Yeah.
just because of the venue. I've not planned on eating at all during that race. I don't need to if that's too short to eat, isn't it?
It's probably okay. It, obviously depends on your fitness level and how long it's going to take you. I do know that you do much longer events at probably a lower overall effort with your long distance hiking. So you're probably very well conditioned to be using fat for fuel and not relying on carbs.
Right.
And so the rule of thumb is that 45 minutes or less, you definitely don't need anything. You can drink water, but you don't even really need that. Up to 90 minutes, maybe you could take in 100 calories in a gel or, a cube or a bite of a peanut butter jelly sandwich. But it's kind of borderline. You don't need to. You've got enough fuel to go for 90 minutes, but depending on the intensity that you're racing, you may perform better if you give your body some supplemental carbohydrates throughout the race. Don't wait until 60 minutes and then feed yourself. You can spread them out. But for me personally, less than 90 minutes, I wouldn't do. Probably I might do one gel. I would definitely take hydration. When you get to longer than 90 minutes, pretty much everybody needs to be taking in some sort of calories. So when you say eating, most people use liquid calories. Not everybody likes that. Not everybody can tolerate it. The longer the race, the less interesting liquid calories are, right? You just get tired of the taste and you have all this liquid sloshing in your stomach. So I'm not sure what your um, typical pattern is for longer events. But if the event is 90 minutes or less, you don't need food or calories. If it's 2 hours or less and you're not racing super intense, you can probably get away with just doing hydration. If you think it might take you 2 hours, you can experiment during your training with taking, one or two gels. 100 calories is a nice rule of thumb for one sports gel. And it doesn't
And
have to be a sports gel, but something that
right.
size.
So I would do that while I'm on, say, the bike, because the run is where I suddenly think maybe I should have eaten something.
Yeah.
So
Right.
not in transition, but while I'm actually biking, you're thinking.
Well, you can do it. Excuse me. You can do it in transition too. So a classic nutrition routine, even for for a sprint, if you're focusing on performance and speed, I'm not saying you are or aren't, but just to give you a comparison, what they usually say, you eat a nutritious dinner the night before, make sure you're well hydrated. In the morning, I try to hydrate, just have these standard, I don't know, 22-ounce bicycle bottles.
Yep.
I try to make sure I get at least one of these in the morning before I leave the house. And then I've got I fill these up for my bike, but I've got other water that I carry with me. I have some caffeine and I eat breakfast. I eat that sandwich. That's all within 2 or 3 hours before the race. About 15 minutes before the race, taking in a gel or 100 calories will give your body some fast acting carbs. They're in your bloodstream. They haven't been stored in your liver or your muscle cells yet. And so they can get taken up and distributed to your muscles. And so that can be, it doesn't feel like a jolt of energy, but it's a very common thing to do even for short races. During the race, most people will take a gel after the swim, unless it's a super short swim. But if you're doing an Olympic distance swim, and it takes you 30 minutes or more, then you've spent a lot of calories. So a gel in transition before you get on the bike, or you can tape them to your bike or put them in a little bento box and have one right at the beginning of the bike. Because what happens is that you forget, you get tired and you forget.
Yes. Yep.
On the bike, every rule of thumb, every 45 minutes, take one gel. You can do it more frequently. You can do it less frequently. You can have more than 100 calories at 45 minutes. You can have half a snack every 20 minutes. But during the bike, if you're not replacing the calories that you're burning, you're going to get to the run and you're going to be too far behind the 8 ball to do anything but a very slow run. If you fuel during the bike, then by the time you get to the run, you could take a gel on the run if you want, but that's not the gel that's going to help you for the start of your run. It's going to be the fuel that's in your body leading up to that. So if you want to start the run with decent energy, you need to fuel on the bike. But again, it all depends on the overall length of the race.
Right. And I'm a skinny girl. So not only is the water cold, but I come out of the swim frozen, and I actually keep a thermos of hot chocolate and I drink some of that in transition one.
That's really, really smart. I mentioned it last week, I think, or maybe in the email that I sent last week. Coordinating having a hot or warm thermos with you is it's like an extra step of things to remember to do. But if you can do that, that's great. And if it's in transition waiting for you, that's super. That's along the same lines, if not even more key than my little hand warmers in my socks.
I'm going to do those hand warmers thing. So I wrote that down.
Good.
So
Yeah.
I do want to share something, if I may, that I learned 2 mammograms ago. Um, as an athlete, the woman asked me if I do LMNT, which I don't because it's too salty and I don't like the taste. And she said, good, because if you are drinking that any other time than you are sweating to death, you are ruining your bones. All that salt
Mm,
ruins your bones. Um, and I watch all these, through hikers usually just drink that all the time, even when they're not hiking. That's their morning
yeah.
drink. I'm like, don't do that, please.
Element is really, really salty. And
Oh, it's salty.
I don't think there's anyone, unless you're profusely sweating in a profusely salty sweater, sweater. Yeah. My brain heard me say sweater and I thought of like a sweater and I was like, what am I talking about? I don't even know what I'm talking about. Um, that's a really common thing for triathletes, especially younger, as we get older, you notice things that you just don't tolerate as well as you did when you were younger. But, college triathletes that I work with, they might have aches and pains from injuries or from overtraining, but they don't have arthritis. They don't have bad backs. They don't have medical problems. They get away with so much crap that you can't do even as a 25 or a 30-year-old, let alone 50, 60, or 90 years old. Yeah, so using training nutrition on days when you're not training can lead to some really bad habits and feeling icky. Other questions?
We were talking just before the group got together about
Hi, Kitty.
wetsuits and sleeves, no sleeves, booties, gloves, those sorts
Yeah.
of things. Do you have recommendations, or what are your thoughts, or what's
Oh,
how
yeah.
one
So
over another?
I looked at the chat. Christina pasted the athlete guide in there. Is there a timetable in there?
If it's
Yes.
the same one I read, yeah, there
Okay.
is.
Yeah.
I'm just letting Joella know she doesn't have to get back to me. She's at Whitbeals for something. She's always coaching somebody doing something. Always racing or, coaching. You found the guide. Okay. In a triathlon, it's against the rules to wear gloves
Okay.
because the thinking is they make gloves that are webbed gloves that people use for exercise. The thinking is that if you increase the surface area of your hands, you can get an unfair advantage. For the same reason you're not allowed to use fins, but you are allowed to wear booties. Why the same logic about increased area on your feet doesn't apply to the hands, I think is silly because I would love it if I could wear gloves in the swim. I've got a pair of 1 mil gloves, and it would just make such a huge difference if I could wear those in the swim. But current USA Triathlon rules prohibit that. They did recently update it for, you guys know what lava shorts are?
Yep.
Yeah. A lot of men use them, and a lot of lean women where if you try to lay flat in the water and float, the legs will just sink. And so they're neoprene shorts that just give flotation to your hips, and it really helps your swim form because it not only keeps you floaty, but it keeps you more balanced. So when those first came out, people thought they were cheating. Why is he allowed to wear that during the race? That's not fair. Not everybody owns a pair of that. So they've addressed that. You're basically allowed to wear them now. Um, they make changes, subtle changes to the rules every year, but you're allowed to wear booties. You're not allowed to wear gloves. You're allowed to wear a snorkel if you need it.
Hmm.
People with neck arthritis, that's great. Some people think that a snorkel is cheating, but it's in the rules that you're allowed to use it, unless that's changed. You can wear more than one swim cap. You have to wear your race cap that you're given for your wave on the top, but you could wear a cap underneath and then a second cap over it. It does add a little bit of warmth. And then,
I would say it adds a lot of warmth. That's the only way I can do it.
yeah, and they
Wow.
also make
Silicone
neoprene
cap on
caps.
underneath.
Yeah, I always only use silicone caps unless I'm given a latex one on race day. But there are neoprene caps as well. They
Yeah.
fasten under your chin, and I use that for Alcatraz. So put on the neoprene cap and then put the swim cap over it and your goggles in between there. Does that help?
Yeah. What about just choosing a wetsuit with sleeves or no sleeves, shorties?
Yep, good question. Again, it's personal preference with body habitus, swim
Hmm.
skills,
Hmm.
fitness. Um, have you ever Have you ever watched, would you guys ever watch the Tour de France or bike racing on TV?
Yeah.
In the
Mhm.
Tour de France, even though it's in July, there will be mountain stages where it's snowing at the top. And these guys are in shorts and, t-shirt, thin clothing, and they're hot and sweaty all the way to the top. And then at the very top, sometimes, I don't know if they still do this, but people will stand there with newspaper and they'll take a sheet of newspaper and shove it in the front as kind of a windbreaker going down. Well, when I ride in the wintertime, even if I'm going up a hill, I need more than, I would be cold if I had shorts and short sleeves and a lycra top. And the easiest way to understand that is that these guys put out a lot more power than I do. And that power is a direct measurement of how much heat you're generating. Most of the energy we use for life, for sports, most of it is burned as body heat. So if you're fast for your age and your size, but you don't have as much muscle mass as, a 30-year-old former football player who's trying triathlons, you just can't generate as much body heat. So that's one factor. You take two people who are the same size, same body composition, one is faster than the other. It's usually, but not always, especially in swimming. But it's usually because one person is generating more power, so that person's going to be warmer. And so wearing a thicker or thinner wetsuit might be more comfortable for thicker one might be more comfortable for the person who's not moving as fast or who is smaller. A thinner one might be more comfortable for the person who's already a good swimmer. They're already generating a lot of body heat. They're younger, they're more muscular, and they can swim fast because they're just burning more energy as heat. So that's one big consideration. Body habitus. So as a general rule of thumb, women tend to have more fat stores around the hips. They tend to be more balanced top and bottom than men. Men tend to not store fat around their hips, maybe in their belly, but men tend to be bottom heavy in the water. Their hips tend to sink. The lungs are full of air and they float better. Most women tend to float a little bit more horizontal. So if you're a sinky leg person, the lava shorts can help, or they make wetsuits that have more flotation in the legs, like maybe 5 mil in the hips and thighs, but 3 mil in the upper body. So it really depends on your body composition. And then overall, if you have a layer of subcutaneous fat, even if your skin is cold, your internal organs have more insulation from the cold.
Right.
Than a thin person who just doesn't have as much insulation. So both of you may be experiencing cold temperatures on your skin, may be uncomfortable for the same reasons, but hearing Barb talk, sounds like she doesn't have a lot of insulation. She's just going to get cold no matter what internally. So all of those factors kind of go into choosing the style that you want to wear. If
Okay.
you're lean, if your hips sink, if you're not a great swimmer, you probably want to go and if you're older, just because we're not generating as much power output, so not as much heat, metabolism changes. All those things you may want to lean towards a thicker long sleeve wetsuit.
Okay.
If you're younger, if you're faster, if you're already a great swimmer and having something on your arms is going to inhibit you a lot. If you're a woman or if you're a guy who's got good distribution, I'm not saying that no men have good body composition distribution. Some men float horizontally just fine. But if you're already a good floater, I float really well. I float flat. I can sink, but when I sink, I usually sink horizontally. So for me, a wetsuit makes me so rolly. It's like the difference between a whitewater kayak that's designed to like spin in circles and go underwater and come back up,
Right.
as opposed to a sea kayak that's designed to go in a straight line, tip over. I put on a wetsuit and I turn into that whitewater kayak and my swim is awful. It's terrible. So I like a thinner wetsuit. I grew up a swimmer. I tend to have broader shoulders for my height, so I don't like things on my shoulders as much. So for me, sleeveless, thin, and if it can be shorts and not long leg, that's my ideal, which is what I wore on Monday.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Barb, were you saying something?
Nope.
Okay. Merrick, did you got your questions answered? And you're having dinner?
Yeah. Always got to eat.
Yeah. Good. Christina, Katie, Barb, Ms. iPhone, who we still haven't heard from tonight, but I'm glad you're here. Any questions?
No, I think I'm good. Just wanted a little reassurance on the transition piece, but I think you guys helped, so thank you.
Yeah.
And have a good race.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much for joining. I'm going to do the same series in the fall before the fall race for Moraine. You're welcome to join again. You're on my email list, so you'll get notices about it. If you want to do the more intensive 6-week program in the summer, sign up tonight, sign up before the weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun. I really just want to get a nice group together that we can go in depth on a lot of things. You guys can ask any questions that you want. And there'll be more time to talk about things like nutrition and sodium and transitions and stuff like that. So really appreciate you. Joella appreciates you guys coming and getting educated. So thank you for supporting the local race.
Great.
Thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank
for doing
you.
this.
Thank
This
you.
is a real benefit. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thanks for being so responsive with the emails when I asked you guys to email me back. It really does. I'm in a test phase right now with my email domain. So the more interaction I get, the better my emails will be. My emails will get to you, and my emails will get to people who are casually interested better. So feel free, absolutely, send me messages. I check my coaching email, maybe not every single day when I'm busy with other things, but I check it several times a week. I respond to everything that I get. So really appreciate you guys attending.
Great.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you. I'll see some of you this weekend.
Okay. See ya. Good luck.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.